Hello everybody, this is Mateo. We are currently at the upper portion of Mount Moon. If you go into Mount Moon, there should be a ladder somewhere. You can go up that and that'll lead to this area, basically. What we want to do is go over here. This will only happen on Monday nights, so you want to make sure that you do this on a Monday night. And because of the fact that you need to be on a Monday night, is the reason why I'm doing this so late in the game. I mean, I could have done this a while ago, but I'm doing it now. Basically, you rock smash the rock, and, not quite. You have to go ahead and actually check the area afterwards. You'll get a moonstone, but I don't have space in my pack, so let me fix that right here. Let's see here. Quick Claw, I want to keep that. Actually, let's give the Quick Claw to somebody. I want to give to Meganium, but she already has the Meganium, or the Meganium seed, yeah. The Miracle seed. There we go, we got the Moonstone. And now we can evolve a Pokemon that needs the Moonstone. And so this is a much more reliable way to get a Moonstone. You just need it to be Monday, and then you can go get one. But because of, like, school and stuff, I would always be doing homework on Monday nights. So I couldn't, like, go and grab this, which is why I'm getting this so late. Finally, summer started, I have time to get this. Alright. So let's just put something in there, because we can only carry 6 Pokemon. Houndoom, sure, why not? Bring out the last Pokemon that we need to evolve via Moonstone, which is Clefairy. Kinda neat how the Clefairies that gave us the Moonstone actually provided the Moonstone. That's going to a Clefairy. But yeah, you can also get Moonstones from your mother. She'll occasionally buy them if she's saving your money. But that's kind of rare. This is just a lot more, likely, I guess is the word. And I think you can get, like, 2 Moonstones in the actual game or something. Maybe. Yeah, there's at least 1 hidden around. I think there's 2 hidden in certain areas, maybe 3. Next up in the, Ruins of Alph area, the same place that we got Natu a while back. You can get Smeargle, who's kind of rare. I don't know really why I missed him. Maybe, like, I could only get him during the day and it was nighttime when I went there to get Natu. Or maybe I just forgot about him because he wasn't showing up because he's rare. But yeah, basically Smeargle, his stats are kind of really bad. But that's not what really matters about him. What matters about him is his move Sketch. You saw him use it earlier, but it failed. That is because I didn't use an attack myself. For explaining's sake, let's say that I used Tackle against Smeargle and he lived, and then he used Sketch. Sketch would be replaced with the move Tackle, and then Smeargle could use Tackle whenever he wanted. And Smeargle also learns Sketch every 10 levels or so. So with that, you can basically have Smeargle learn any move that you want it to know. And because of that, it's a very versatile Pokemon, although it does really lack stats. However, it can be really useful depending on what moves you give it. Next up, roaming around the entire Johto region are Raikou and Entei. I really couldn't show the battles for these guys because they were just super annoying, and I didn't want to have to keep activating the recorder only to have it fail, you know? So there you go. For catching them, I suggest you go to Goldenrod City, and then if you've seen them once already, which you most likely would have, at least once throughout your journey through Johto. If you didn't, well then, I don't know, you're kind of in a bad spot, honestly. I mean, just run around and try to find it, I guess. But check your Pokédex and see where the 2 are. And based on that, like, go towards them, and then whenever you go to a different route, like the screen transitions or whatever, the 2 will move to an adjacent route of where they were. And so if you keep on going back and forth, they might end up on the same route as you, and you just check your Pokédex every single time you do the transition to see where they are. Eventually, they'll run into you, and you can battle them and possibly catch them. So it's a real pain, roaming Pokemon really are not the best in my opinion, but I mean, it's a good idea, but finding them is kind of really annoying. But yeah, if you're having troubles getting the, two to show up on your route, then, use Fly and go back to the same city, and then their locations will be randomized. They could go anywhere at that point when you use Fly. Alright, so that's another 2 legendary Pokemon in the Pokedex, Raikou and Entei. Both of which are really cool Pokemon. I really like their designs. When I was younger, I used to think that Entei was kind of the leader of the 3, just because he had the, movie, The Secret of the Unknown, or Spell of the Unknown, or whatever it was called. And it was a really neat movie. Do I want to say it's my favorite? It's really up there. I'll give it that. It's probably like top 3 for me. Partially because I saw it when I was so young, so there's like the nostalgia factor in there. But also just like the story behind it, like the girl lost her father and like Entei became her father or whatever. So yeah, I used to think that Entei was the leader of the trio because of that, but I think it might actually be Suicune, because Suicune has his own game. I mean, we're playing it right now. Meanwhile, Raikou gets nothing, other than like an hour-long special on Pokemon Legends. Like, that's about it. Does anybody remember that show, that spin-off, where they had like Gold and Silver? Basically, I think they might have had actual names, but they were basically Gold and Silver. Yeah, that was kind of weird. It went on for like a season. I don't know what was going on with that, but I mean, it was a thing. Alright. So, these guys, they have all of the Eon evolutions, well, the first 3, which is another reason, it's another thing that ties, Jolteon, Flareon, and Vaporeon to being the, 3 Pokemon that died in the, Burnt Tower, and then Ho-Oh revived them in the forms of Suicune, Entei, and Raikou. Which is basically what this guy is explaining, sort of. He's, like, the Burn Tower, he's talking about how that came to be. Basically the whole lore behind this and the legendary Pokemon in this game, it's actually really interesting. Basically, Ho-Oh and Lugia used to be in this town. Ho-Oh stayed in the Brass Tower, which is the one that we're heading to right now, while Lugia stayed in what used to not be the Burned Tower. It was the Tin Tower originally. However, Lugia has the power to summon up storms and or stuff like that, and from what I understand, it accidentally caused a storm, which had a lightning bolt hit his tower and caused it to burst into flames. Inside of the tower, there were 3 Pokemon, which we don't really know what they were, but it seems most likely that they were Vaporeon, Jolteon, and a Flareon. There were 3 Pokemon in that tower when it burned down, and that burning down of the tower killed them, the 3 Pokemon there. Ho-Oh, however, came around when the flames were around, or afterwards, and saw the 3 dead Pokemon or something like that, and then brought them back to life, but they got a new, stronger form of Entei, Raikou, and Suicune, and this is kind of supported of how, like, the Eon evolutions became the 3 legendary beasts, in the fact that their base stats are all, like, really the same. Like, what they focus in is the same, but the legendary Pokemon have higher stats because they're legendary and stronger. But I mean, what they focus in, like, Jolteon is mostly speed, Raikou also is mostly speed. Stuff like that, they're all the same. So that's that. Meanwhile, Lugia was, like, so upset that he accidentally burned the tower and killed the Pokemon, and so he went into hiding under the sea at the Whirl Islands, which is basically what's going on there, from what I understand. It's a pretty interesting thing, a little bit of a dark story behind the legendary Pokemon of this game that I really like, personally. Now here we have Suicune. Once we have the clear bell, you can get Suicune by going through all that stuff that I just did. You get the clear bell from the radio tower guy. So you really could have done this a long time ago, but I wanted to get him as close to last as possible, because he is the cover legendary. Unfortunately, we can't get Ho-Oh until we get all 3 legendary beasts. So Ho-Oh will be after Suicune, and then there's also Celebi, the event Pokemon, that we can't really get yet. Well, we can't really get it all, but with some Game Sharks, I'm just gonna show off how you could have gotten it and stuff, but you know, that'll be for later. But yeah, here we have Suicune. Really wanted to have this be the very last Pokemon that I caught, but by the way the game's designed, I just can't do that. Anyways, Suicune is a water type, and in my opinion, probably the second best of the 3. The first best being Raikou, because he has just like really good speed and special attack, so he's a really great sweeper. Suicune is more of a defensive Pokemon, and it's very defensive. It's very good at doing what it does, but I'm not as much of a defensive player personally. Suicune is probably used the most out of the 3 across like competitive battling or whatever, but Raikou I like more personally. Entei, he's alright. His stats are really weird for what he is. Like, he has mostly HP, which is good, although he's a fire type, so he doesn't have the best, like, defensive typing. And he also has, like, the most attack, which is good in later generations when there's fire type attacks that are physical. But in this game, when fire is special, that really doesn't help him out too much. So he does get a little bit of an upgrade in later games, but not enough for him to really be used as much as the other 2. But I mean, these Pokemon and their designs, I really like their designs. Like, Suicune looks kind of wolf-like, which is really neat, and it's got that hexagon on its head and stuff, and the flowing mane just looks freaking awesome. And Entei is like a lion, which is neat. And Raikou is a saber-toothed tiger, so it's all just really, really cool. Trying to think of things to talk about while I throw Ultra Balls. Why did I not cut this out? You see, aren't you guys glad that I cut out those attempts at catching the Pokemon? Like, that would have been 40 minutes of fighting Lugia, weakening it, then throwing an Ultra Ball, then weakening it. Oh, finally, now I cut. Thank you, me in the past. There we go, it always is in search for a pure reservoir, sure. Well, it's not going to be anymore, now it's just stuck in my box. And then these guys just happen to come in as soon as I catch it, because, you know, they totally, like, knew. And Yucine is back. It's been a very long time since we've seen Yucine. I wish he had more of a role in the game, but he only shows up, like, twice, and then right here, and that's it. Would have been neat if you saw him from town to town and he was following the lead of Suicune. Alright, so I think, yeah, they're testing us humans. Now, if we go back here, not quite. It's kind of weird, but you have to exit and re-enter the place. So I'll just do that quickly. Hi, guy. You all look the same. Yeah, 3 nameless Pokemon. That's probably Jolteon, Flareon, and Vaporeon. And yeah, they were revived into those 3. So it's just a very dark and neat story. I mean, legendaries usually don't have a story like this, other than like Zekrom and Reshiram and helping with the war and whatnot. But with that, we will have our final part in the next one, where we will catch the last 2 legendary Pokemon, the last 2 Pokemon in the game, and fight one last person. But who might that be? We'll find out next time. See you all then. Goodbye.